topic, the scientific precision in the glorious Qur'an. And we stopped at the 10th rule, which implies that in this area we can never invade any unseen domain, such as the nature of the Creator, the nature of a spirit, the nature of the angels, the nature of the jinn, the type of life in the grave, the time of resurrection after death, accountability, judgment, the paradise, the hell, and the rest of these areas that the Quran and the Sunnah elaborates fully, and we have to accept what is elaborated in the Quran and the Sunnah about this definitely unseen domain that cannot be touched by the human senses, and we cannot use these areas as a testimony to the scientific precision of the glorious Quran, because the human science cannot touch these areas in any way. Also, we have to emphasize the fact that the world to come has got its own rules and regulations, and we should not try to measure what the Quran says about the life to come with this worldly standards, because the world to come will have its own rules and regulations. And the great rule, rule number 12, is that we have to apply only scientific facts to justify the proof about the scientific precision in the glorious Quran. We cannot use a theory, because a theory is liable to fall down. We cannot use a supposition, because a supposition is liable to be disproved. We have only to use absolute facts that have been finally proved by man, because scientific exercises can reach facts. And of course, these facts are not final, because they can be added to, they can be expanded, but they do not revert. They will not go against its own content. And that's why in the area of scientific precision in the glorious Quran, we have to apply only the scientific facts that have been finally proved by man and cannot be disproved by any further scientific information, although it may be added to, it may be expanded. This is a very important rule, because scientific precision of the glorious Quran is an area of challenging Muslims and non-Muslims alike, that this book does not contain a single scientific mistake. It does not contain any mistake in any of its aspects. And when we speak about science, we have to emphasize the fact that the Quran does not include any scientific error. The fact number 13 of condition number 13, we have to distinguish between the one who has actually discovered this scientific fact in the glorious Quran and people who use it, who reiterate this discovery. Because if you do so, you are doing justice to the man who has carried out this discovery, and this is honesty, and this is a way of authentication. If he did rightly, you have given him his due rights. If he did commit a mistake, he will carry his own burden. So we have always to distinguish between the very first person who directed our attention to the scientific fact in a cosmic verse in the glorious Quran, and people who reiterate it, or people who use it after him, because Islam has taught us honesty and has taught us the necessity of giving due rights to everybody who has done or carried out a good thing in this world. The condition number 14, we have to emphasize that the scientific derivation from any cosmic verse in the glorious Quran is not the final derivation of the meaning of that verse. Because in هذا القرآن لا تنتهي عجائبه. This Quran, its miracles can never come to an end. ولا يخلق على كثرة الرد. It will never look old the more you look into it, the more you read it or listen to it, you'll never look old. And that's why we have to be modest enough to say that I have discovered this fact in this cosmic verse. This is not the end of the understanding of the meaning of the verse, because Allah may give somebody after me enough knowledge, enough light to see in this same verse what I have not seen, because the miracles of the Qur'an can never come to an end. The condition number 15, you see, we have to emphasize the fact that the Quranic verse can come in the context of giving an example, of the context of a parable or a similitude, in the context of giving an advice or a call for high morality or good behavior. And of course, still it remains to be perfectly scientifically precise, because this is the word of the Creator in its divine purity. And who would know the creation better than the Creator himself? Also, we have to emphasize the fact that I can start the Quran and reach a scientific fact not known by anybody else. And I have tried myself this, and I have succeeded in discovering many scientific facts that were not discovered by anybody before. And I mention this because many people lament on us. Why don't you wait until non-Muslims discover this fact, and then you come to us and say this is in the glorious Quran or in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? No, we have to start from the glorious Quran. But because the Muslim Ummah is living in a period of recession, we have, of course, to wait until these scientific facts have been discovered by others. And this will not diminish the importance of the fact that the Quran contains these facts. And after all, most of these cosmic verses are directed to unbelievers, not to believers. The seventh rule is that we should not try to minimize the great efforts of the al-mufassirin, those who actually used their own lives for the service of the exegesis of the glorious Quran, because the amount of knowledge available for us today was not available to them in their time. The 18th condition is also very important. I have to discriminate between the scientific precision in the glorious Quran and the scientific exegesis of the glorious Quran. These are two different areas, and whoever would mix them would actually commit a great mistake. The scientific precision of the glorious Quran means the precedence of the glorious Quran by stating a large number of scientific facts before these facts were discovered by man, in centuries before, or actually in many centuries before man reached these facts. So in this area, I have to use only facts. I cannot use theories. I cannot use suppositions. I have to use only facts, except in a single case. And this case is the case of creation, annihilation, and resurrection, of the cosmos, of life, and of man. We have 9 areas which cannot be subjected directly to the human knowledge. Allah tells us in the glorious Quran, ما أشهدتهم خلق السماوات والأرض ولا خلق أنفسهم وما كنت متخذ المضلين عضدا. I did not make them witness the creation of the heavens and the earth, nor the creation of themselves, and I was not to take unbelievers in my assistance. So the area of creation, annihilation, and resurrection, with its 3 dimensions, the universe, life, and man, 9 areas, we have to accept what the Quran tells us about them and try to understand it within the framework of the cosmic verse. But at the same time, the Quran tells us, قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانْظُرُوا كَيْفَ بَدَأَ الْخَلْقِ. Move around on earth, or roam the earth, and see how creation did start. And if we combine these 2 types of verses, we can see clearly that despite the fact that the area of creation, annihilation, and resurrection was not witnessed by any of the human beings or the jinn, yet Allah has placed in the earth and in the firmament enough evidence to help man to reach some form of understanding of these processes: creation, annihilation, and resurrection. And despite these enough evidences, man cannot really reach a rational decision in these areas without the guidance of the glorious Qur'an or the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And inshallah, we will be meeting again to discuss other topics of this very delicate area. Until we meet, I thank you for listening and greet you in our Islamic way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.